Welcome back to Film Snob HQ. The road to Avengers Doomsday continues. We are about halfway through Phase 4, i.e. the fifth era of Marvel films. We had a Sony flick last time with Venom. We're back on the MCU train. And we're coming into now maybe one of the most divisive Marvel films of all time. This is a flick that was really the first one in all their releases to get maybe a bad Rotten Tomatoes score. And I think a lot of people were disappointed by it, myself included. The first time I watched it, I didn't quite get it. It's a flick that requires a few watches. It is a much more elevated and higher concept Marvel film than what we've been used to. But I will say it's maybe one of the best Marvel films they've made. It takes a couple of watches. The first time I didn't really get it. But the more I watch it, the more I really, really love it. And it's got a lot of advanced concepts, but people tend to write it off as boring. It's so different. This is not a fun movie. This is not a quippy movie. It's not, it's not the Avengers. And I think maybe people were expecting more of that, especially because of the cosmic element. But this is a very deep film that explores a lot of different concepts, which I'll talk about. I am talking about Eternals. Not the best steelbook, I'll be honest. And also got a big old dent there for my delivery driver. Not thrilled about that either. Eternals is so much higher concept than anything else Marvel had done previously. Chloe Zhao is the director. She was coming off an Oscar win with Nomadland. It's one of the few films to be done almost entirely outside. They use natural light. They use the elements. It's not just on a soundstage with a green screen or a blue screen. It's visually gorgeous. The cast is stacked. This is an Angelina Jolie Marvel film. It's got Kumail Nanjiani, who's wonderful. It's got Barry Keoghan, I'm sure I pronounced his name wrong. Salma Hayek is in this film. Richard Madden. This is a stacked cast. And the concepts are not simple. This is a story that spans 5,000 years. It's over 2.5 hours long, and rightly so. This is a film that discusses and explores religion, which they've never done in Marvel films before. Like the Thor films, obviously draw from Norse mythology. But it's done in a very entertaining, very kind of tongue-in-cheek way. This explores the idea of faith, the idea of deception, the idea of gods and creation. It's about love and life and what it means to be human, what it means to be immortal and not be able to live a normal life. These are grand, giant concepts. This is not Iron Man shoots a beam, at another Iron Man. And not dismissing those films at all. Of course, I love those films. You've heard me talk about it, but this film is doing so much differently. It's a film about time. It's a film about patience. There's just really huge concepts here, and it hasn't gone for spectacle. Yes, it is visually stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. The outfits, the different power sets, wonderful. But it's not popcorn spectacle. It's asking you to work a little bit harder. And if you're willing to be patient with it, then I think you will be rewarded for it. It's got some incredible performances. Kumail Nanjiani, for me, is the standout of this flick. He is the most fun. But Gemma Chan as Cersei is such a complex character. Such a character, for someone who is arguably all-powerful and immortal and a god in her own right. She's so human and filled with self-doubt. Icarus, not just, people kind of write him off as a Superman clone. And yes, he does have the powers of Superman. Even a character in the film says it. But he is riddled with self-doubt and yearns for a love that he can't have. There's just more going on. Sprite, the idea of eternal youth, something that, so many people have yearned for and wanted in their lives. And all she wants is to grow up, because being a child forever limits her from enjoying the things that adults can enjoy, like socializing and drinking and having adult relationships and getting married and having children, all these sorts of things. There's a lot going on. And on top of it all, there's no real villain in this film. We're led to believe that the deviants are villains. And yes, they're violent. And yes, they want to take down the Eternals. But they're not villains. They're a botched experiment created by the Celestials just trying to get their own lives. They're not truly villainous. And, some might point to the Celestials and say that they're villains, but the Celestials, I'm going to get biblical with you for a second, even though I'm not particularly religious myself. If you look at the Bible says that God created the earth and eventually in the rapture he would destroy the earth. We as the people living on earth are like, that's quite villainous. Don't destroy the earth, but at the same time, anyone who is religious will say, no, that's the plan. God's not a villain. He's just going to, he's going to undo what he did. The way that you would with a Lego house. You build a Lego house, you enjoy your Lego house, you tear it down and build a different Lego house. That's what the Eternals are. They're not truly villainous either. And I think that is a concept stacked on top of so many different things in this film that people either struggled with or just weren't expecting, or, it's just asking a lot more than the average MCU film, I think, But I love it. I think it's wonderful. It sets up so many interesting things, some of which have been addressed now. Obviously, Tiamat coming from the sea, the celestial born of the Earth's core. We finally get to see some more in Captain America Brand New Day, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it more because adamantium is within Tiamat. We still don't know what happened to the Eternals who have been hijacked by Arasham. Surely that's going to be addressed at some point. Star Fox, Eros, Thanos' brother, appears in a post-credit sequence. The Black Knight, Blade, all of these things are being teased. And I think if we didn't have Marvel Television, I think if we didn't have the pandemic, we would have seen a lot more of these things get addressed. But because they're spinning out so many new concepts and building towards Doomsday now, some of them have been shelved. But I do hope we come back to it. I think The Eternals is a flick that just people really misunderstood. It definitely deserves a sequel. I want to see these characters again. Obviously, some of our characters die in this. We won't get all of them back, but the ones who are still around, I'd love to see more of. So in terms of Secret Wars and Doomsday, actually, no, before I do, let's talk about Makkari as well. Makkari is maybe my favorite character in this flick, even though I enjoy Kumail's performance the most and find him the most entertaining. I'm a big fan of speedsters. The Flash is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Makkari is hands down the best representation of a speedster on screen for me. I love the way her speed is designed, the way she moves, the way she bounds over continents. She's the scariest speedster on screen. And, the Reverse Flash, obviously terrifying, but just the way she is relentless in her attack on Icarus in the third act, the way that even a god with the powers of Superman can't see her coming, like that's terrifying, that concept. I just love everything about the way she's presented on screen. I think she's a fantastic character. I like the Flash in the TV show. I like the Flash in the movies. I like the way Quicksilver's been done. But this version of a speedster, to me, is hands down the best representation, the most powerful version, and the scariest version. So that I want to give Makkari her props as well. In terms of characters in Doomsday and Secret Wars, I don't know if any of them are going to show up. I guess most likely would be Kingo. Kumail signed a multi-picture deal. He's shown up in What If, so it would make sense for him to come back. But Marvel seems to be shying away from the Eternals. They haven't talked about the Eternals since this flick. But I would like to see them return. I would like Cersei. I want Phastos. I want all of them. I want, Athena. Bring them all back. Bring Star Fox back. Bring Pip the Troll back. Bring them all. And give me everything else as well. I dig it. Give it a second chance. If you haven't watched it in a while, I think this flick was just ahead of its time. I think if it had to come out now, especially in a world where people feel like all the Marvel films are kind of going down the same path and being a bit same, even though I don't agree with that, this would be a breath of fresh air. But I don't know. I love it. And I think you should check it out. Next up, we're talking about Hawkeye.